all, let me apologize for not attending the middle session because I had a Skype call, so that's the reason why I was not here. So, but I guess that you guys will give a presentation also on Friday, so I will try to attend that. I will attend that for sure. So this afternoon we are going to have another couple of talks, if I understand correctly, Yingjie from Phasmetrics, and then we are going to have Jian from CNRS. So this is work package 1,
Yes.
Antenna design and stochastic geometry modeling in the same work package. Okay, it happens. I guess you have 15 minutes and then 5 minutes questions. Okay. So we are going to talk about dynamic antenna azimuth steering for optimizing broadband network performance. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yingjie You, and I'm a Horizon 2020 early stage research based in Athens with Phasmetrics. And we at Phasmetrics are dedicated to providing the cutting-edge products and network solutions to the international market. And I'm sure I speak for my supervisor Dimitris that 5G technologies are something the Phasmetrics are keen to provide to the market as well. And today I will be talking to you about the part of my work, which I did for my supervisor, is using the dynamic antenna azimuth steering for optimizing broadband network performances. So now I will be discussing how novel antenna azimuth steering implementation can be used in the real network to meet the challenges and the possible ways to optimize the network performances. And at the end, I will present a set of real data measurement which shows how this technology can be implemented in the real network to improve the cell or cluster performances within the existing network systems. So following the topic here, you can see this is a geographic coverage in the radio network systems, which is composed of 7 base stations here. And the yellow dots here are represented the users who are randomly distributed in the systems. However, in most of the situations, users are not evenly distributed in the system. As you can see from this weekday busy hour snapshots, users, they can be served at different service levels. So some users can get good network performances, which represented the green dots here, while other users, they get better network performances, which are represented by red dots here. And so for those bad network experienced users, they usually suffer the bad network experience for online video watching or web browsing. And statistically speaking, after 4 seconds, 10% of these users will start abandoning watching this video, and after 10 seconds, almost half of these users were just giving it up. And in some worst cases, these users may not get service at all, which means they can have access fails and job calls. So it is important for us to optimize the network systems. What does that mean is we should aim at keeping the minimized access fails and job calls, and also improving the throughput for the mobile users across the whole network systems. And by doing so, we can improve the key performance indicators in the system, which will bring back the revenue growth for the operators and the user loyalty. And it can also improve the returns which we made at the first time. So our target here is to make the better network experienced users get better network experience and make the good network experienced users as many as possible. So to achieve this, one possible way we can do is to increase the network resources by installing new base stations or use more frequencies and applying new technologies. But the problem is, by installing new base stations, it can be expensive and you need a permission as well. And for frequencies, They are the most scarce resources, and they need to be regulated. And applying new technologies can be uncertain sometimes. So in order to find a way which can be cost-effectively visible and flexible, we can think about utilizing the existing radio network resources, such as increasing the spectrum efficiency, reducing the network interference, or boosting signal coverage. And here is what we are doing now as well. We are making the existing network radio resources more efficiently, flexible, and smart to optimize the network resources. But how can we implement this technology into the real network systems? And before doing this, we need to think about what kind of information can we get from the real network systems. And when we look down at this problem, it is not difficult to find out that we can get the geographic coverage area from simulation tools or from drive test. And also we can get the complaints from customer care and the hourly or daily key performance indicators from our operation supporting systems, as well as some feedback from other sources. But how can we know the user distribution information in the system, especially for those users who have the better network experience? So in order to find the user distribution information in the real network systems, we need to think about this kind of situation because in the real network systems, we call this kind of high user density areas the high usage area in a cell. And also, apart from this, we need to know how often this kind of distribution high usage area will appear in the time or day, and how about the key performance indicators in this high usage area? Is it good or bad? And also we need to evaluate the whole cluster's performance on this high usage area stress. So what is high usage area after all, and how can we define it in the real network systems? Here we define the high usage area as a geographic area that it can present the traffic peak for a specific time. And these areas are usually served by the best server from the network across the whole area. Okay, after we defined the high usage area, we need to evaluate the performance of this high usage area in order to know whether this high usage area has good performance or bad performance. As in the real network systems, the good high usage area coverage, which is mainly located inside the antenna's main radiation beam, and the users are represented by green dots here, and these users usually can get the high signal strength, high signal quality, and low drop core rates or low access fail rates. But by contrast, the bad high usage area coverage, which is mainly located offset the antenna's main radiation beam, which is represented by the red dots here, and these users usually suffer the low signal strength, low signal quality, and high drop core rate or high access fail rate. And in the real network systems, most of the base stations are equipped with 65-degree half power beamwidth antennas. And think about the users. When they are located offset the antenna's main radiation beam, they can suffer from 50% up to 90% less signal strength than the users who are located inside the antenna's main radiation beam. So it is important to optimize the coverage in a cell to improve this user's performance across the whole cell network system. So what we do here in the real network systems is we take into account the user traffic information within the geographic area, and then we evaluate the performance of these users in these areas by steering the antenna azimuth clockwise or counterclockwise. And then the effective radiated power on the users located on the cell edges can be improved. And actually what we do here is similar like the astronomers. They use their telescopes to find their targets in a certain area by steering their equipment like that. And what we do here is we utilizing an intelligent antenna azimuth steering, which can automatically scan the antenna azimuth within the horizontal plane by plus 15 and minus 15 degree clockwise and counterclockwise. Then we evaluate performance within this clockwise and counterclockwise cell edge performance in order to identify the best antenna azimuth heading, which for the high usage area can be better served from a predefined time frame in the network systems. And here I want to show you two examples which can demonstrate how this technology can be implemented into the real network systems. As you can see here, this cell now is serving 10 users. 5 users get good network performances, which are represented by green dots here, and the 5 users, which are red dots here, they usually suffer the bad network performance, and the 1 user here now is out of coverage, which is due to the lack of resources. So our target here is to try to improve the better network experienced users in this cell, and we do this by offset the antenna azimuth beam width by 15 degrees clockwise. And you can see now, this cell is serving 11 users now, and 8 users can have good performance, and only 3 users get bad performance, and no user is out of coverage now. And what does this improvement mean in the system? It means we can get 10% more usage in this network, and the performance can be increased by 30%, and we are getting 100% user coverage in this cell now. However, how can we know the user distribution in the real network systems? The answer is difficult, because we cannot possibly know the future, but we trust the user's behavior can repeat in time. So we know that during some time, users will travel from home to work, and after certain time, user will stay at work, and after some time, user will return back from work to home, and during most of nights and weekends, they will stay at home. And they can spend also some time at hotspots for example, during some special events or celebrations. So here, we use trial and error, the fundamental method, to solve the real problems in the network system. And we do this method by the following steps. First, we need to define the problematic cells in the cluster. And in order to define the problematic cells in the cluster, we need to use some key performance indicators to filter them to identify which is problematic cells based on job call rate, accessible rate, the data traffic, voice traffic, or cell radius. And we based on some criteria to identify them. The first one is usually these cells, they have the greater than 0.5% job call rate or accessible rate. And usually these cells, they can have very heavy voice traffic and heavy data traffic. And also, in order to optimize this cell performance more efficiently, we need to make sure the cell radius is greater than 750 meters. And then, after that, we can start engaging the antenna azimuth steering in this problematic cell. And after that, we scan for the optimum headings in this particular cell, and we can start after that evaluating the performance in this cell by scanning the antenna to identify the best offset in time. Then we adjust this best offset in time for the users which are located in this cell. And in the end, we can start evaluating the performance in this cell. trying to identify it. So here now I will show you a real data measurement which we took in a class called Aspergillus outside the Athens last year, and which we implemented this antenna azimuth steering in one specific cell which is identified in this cluster, and we did several results. And the first here shows the job call rate and access fail rate for an 8-week period of time before and after we implement this technology into this cell. And we can see that after we implemented antenna azimuth steering in this cell, the job call rate and access fail rate can be reduced by 18% and 26% respectively in this cell for 8-week period of time. And here is voice traffic in this cell for an 8-week period of time before and after we implemented it. And we can see that the voice traffic in this cell for the 3G usage and 4G usage and the total combined voice traffic in this cell can be improved by around 13.5% after we implement this technique for an 8-week period of time. And the last figure shows similarly the data traffic in this particular cell for an 8-week period of time before and after we implement it. And we can see that the data traffic in this cell in terms of the 3G data usage, 4G data usage, and the total combined data traffic usage can be improved by 35% after we doing this technology. So here today, I have shown you how important it is to optimize network performances and how we can implement this technology into the real network systems and how to scan for the optimum antenna azimuth headings and adjust it in the real time for the users. And we do this just simply utilizing the existing radio network network resources with through the dynamic antenna azimuth steering. That's all. Thank you.
Ferran, start with
Any
you.
questions? Do you want to start with me? Okay. I would like to congratulate you for your performance, like how you presented, etc. I think it's interesting. I mean, as we mentioned before, everybody has their own way. So some people move more hands, some others don't. But in general, I liked it. Yeah, perhaps the intonation, but okay, it has to do with the model tongue and this kind of thing. So I will not go into those details. Okay, things that I would highlight, the introduction and the motivation. For me, it was very nice because you showed some examples so that you could show the problems, and then you went with your proposal or your solution. But from my point of view, this presentation has a problem with the background.
Oh.
Yeah. So I mean. At the beginning, this background that you use when you show the examples, it's okay. I mean, the background is a little bit difficult to see, but I understand that this is what you get from the simulator or from the measurement compiler. I don't know. So I understand it, and it's good to include it for the examples. But afterwards, it's what we said about noise, because sometimes, for instance, when you include the figures, it's extremely difficult, for instance, to see even the metrics, because the metrics are not in the wide square of the figures. They have a background which is like this. It's a little bit difficult. I think that if this would be improved in terms of presentation, I would say it's pretty good. Yeah? I don't know what the others think about that. Just feel free, guys. Yeah, go ahead.
I think on slide 11 and 12, that's what he said about the background. Like the red text was a bit difficult to get because of the background.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, I mean it was red color text, and so that's the only comment. The rest was like really nice, so very easily understandable.
I have a question. Can you go to slide 21?
21. This
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't quite understand this one. Like you were talking about actually changing the azimuth or increasing the beam width.
No, we are not increasing the beam width. The
You are
beam width
changing
is
the
always
azimuth. So if
fixed.
if you change the azimuth for like 15 degrees right or
Yes.
left anyway, so don't you think that the previous section was in the previous high usage area was in the middle of the beam width. So if you like, you got my point. High usage area is in the middle of the beam width when it was previously targeted, right?
Yes.
So if you change that azimuth to left or right
Yes.
to serve the bad user, don't you think that the previously those good user become?
No, because we do this based on the power control mechanism. Because when these users in the middle of this,
Yeah.
even you steer that a little bit, but based on this power control mechanism, we exchange the antenna gain with the power capacity. So the users, they can still get the certain level.
Certain level.
Yes, but the users who located on the cell edge, they can receive because the total resources are saved to the power amplifier, and then these resources can be used to serve the users who are located on the cell edge.
On the
So
cell
that's why the whole performance can be improved.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thanks.
I have a question.
Yes.
So how do you make the steering? Is it electrical or is it?
We use this kind of the automatic.
So it's electrical steering.
Yes, we
Okay.
automatic
Okay.
steering
Okay.
platform which can be installed in the railway stations.
But it's mechanic. Then it's
Yes,
mechanical.
but we can remote control it
Okay.
as well.
What's the time to like steer the beam, or is there a rate at which you can steer the beam?
Steer the beam,
Is there a rate at which you can do it?
it's the mechanical steer, because it's
How fast
automatic.
can you do it? Like,
It means that how much steps.
yeah, steps and like the time to do like each step.
We can do each degree, but usually in the real network systems, 15 degrees, at least 5 degrees, because otherwise you can't change much performance in the radio network systems. So we selected move by every step 15 degree each.
Okay.
Okay.
You first. Okay.
Have you calculated the power consumption of moving the antenna if it is less than what you gain from steering the azimuth, from steering the antenna?
It means the total power consumption.
Yeah, I think you're adding some expenses, let's say, to your network because you're consuming energy to move your antenna.
Yes, but it's similar like the remote tilt as well.
Mhm.
When you do remote tilt, then you still need to implement that as well. But this is just an element to do the remote azimuth steering. But the power saved in this power amplifier, they can serve more users in your radio network systems compared without this. So generally speaking, the performance can be improved.
Okay.
You rotate the antenna of one sector.
You can implement in different sectors, but what we do here is because this is better to implement in a problematic cells. I just said it can have the high job call rate and high accessible rate for users. So we know that these cells, the users usually have bad performance. So when we implement this one, the general can improve the performance for this cell of users.
So, but my question is the sectors are independent. You can modify or
Yes, we
shift
can
or
attach to
say
any
beam.
base station system. That's, yes, you
So
can.
you can
Go ahead.
you can leave some zones of saddle, let's say, not covered.
You need move
Because
the,
maybe there are no users there, so whatever. But you can do that. You can leave some
yes,
spaces with saddle, right? Because the two sectors are separated. You are steering the beam.
we are doing this plus 15 degree, minus 15 degree, and this is your 0 degree,
Yeah,
right?
but if you keep one sector fixed and you move the other, you leave a space between both sectors which is without coverage.
But the minus 15 degree and the plus 15 degree we based on without changing the cell's initial coverage plan. We calculate this gap is okay to do the overlap without.
Sure. I'm not saying, yeah, of course. I agree that you have calculated that this is
Yeah,
better,
yes,
it
yes,
increases
yes.
the performance. I just saying that there is a small part of the cell that becomes not covered, right, by the beam.
Which do you mean small part with
Can I try to reformulate?
Yes.
He thinks that you have a base station with 3 sectors.
yes.
A is asking, can you move or can you modify each sector independently? I mean, you have 3 sectors.
Yes, we
You
have to-
change one sector of 15 degrees.
Yes.
Do the other 2 sectors stays the same, or do you change
No,
also the other 2
You can
sectors accordingly?
no, you can just stay the other 2 sectors same.
Okay, so you're saying if you do that,
Yeah,
there will
but
be
I know-
a zone of overlapping
But
and
there's
a
a-
shadow
because
region. How
because
do you handle this?
yes, I understand that question, but I mean, because we calculate within the, because we choose the plus 15 degree according to the initial movement, they won't leave the coverage overlap or gapping. They can still cover without changing these cells, the initial coverage footprint which you moved.
So you're still
So we
covered
still
up with
compare the same cell and the coverage won't change. That's the important thing.
But I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Yeah,
can
I
discuss.
have a question regarding this. Because I have a question regarding this. Yeah, I have a question regarding this because I understand why you say that there are no shadows. Yeah, just because I mean there's some kind of overlap. So you calculate it and you say if I move, if I change the azimuth up to 15 degrees. Okay, it's the overlap I have, so I will have no, let's say,
Yes.
zones without coverage. But what happens in the other side? You have more interference. Did you jointly design that? Because the overlap area in the other side has increased, has doubled up.
The overlap.
Yeah,
The overlap.
right.
So yeah, you overlap twice.
Yeah.
So if you have, for instance, 15 degrees
You have
of
intersector
overlap
interference.
in one side, and you move the azimuth to the other side, 15 degrees, it means you have 30 degrees of overlap in with the neighboring sector. So the interference, do you jointly design that?
Because we, first, with this concept is mainly applied for one programmatic cells. Because usually in one cell, the cell site, they have 3 sectors, but usually just one sector, they can have more problems. Then if you're doing that, for example, if you're doing this one scenarios is the users, because when you scan the azimuth steering, you find the high UC density distribution, and if you move to this side, and the cell edge, the users located in cell edge, cell performance improved, but the users located outside cell performance is still can keep because the power control mechanism which is used. That's why.
You have a beam width of 65 degrees, right? 65 degrees.
65
So 65 degrees.
Yes.
So if you have 15 and 15, it wouldn't overlap, I guess, in that case, right?
Yeah.
So you would be fine, I guess.
15, you mean move this?
Even if you move 15 and 15,
Yes.
because sector is 120,
Yes, it's 120.
Yeah,
You don't overlap. But you
120.
can create,
yeah, but
you
if
can
you
change the interference scenario with the neighboring side, right? It will change the interference scenario with the neighboring side. I mean, you have another side beside,
Yeah.
and if you change
That's
the
right.
azimuth from this sector, and it will change this interference scenario on the other side as well in the network. If have you considered the total network, the interference
We
scenario?
consider the whole cluster. The
Whole
whole
cluster.
cluster.
Anyway, did you change the interference scenario in the cluster as well?
Yes, the whole cluster, even we did the measurement as well, the whole cluster, even if you can see, if we define the problematics in this cell, and when we scan the azimuth and we found this is the best azimuth in this cell, then we locate the azimuth here. But we can find some situations, these cells, the drop rate or successful rate can be higher, but the whole cluster performance, they improved.
Yeah, but go ahead, say it.
I think before taking that decision,
No, it's not your time.
I think before taking that azimuth changing decision, you need to consider the whole cluster interference scenario again, and then you can actually move that antenna. I mean, it can
Yes,
change the scenario.
we consider the whole cluster.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's what we do here as well. That's. But what I'm trying to say is implementing one single cell situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Single cell situation.
Problematic cells, I have to say.
Problematic cells.
Yes.
if you don't mind one more. Okay. If it's, why did you keep the 15 degrees? Why you? Because you still have some gap remaining, right? It's,
That's not
why don't you make it more than 50?
Yeah.
Like
we
let's
can't
say.
do more because if we do more, you will change the cell's initial coverage plan. Which we want to do this is because I said we're trying to compare the cell's performance before and after. So we can't change the coverage plan in this cell, right? If we move more than 50 degrees, we did the drug test and we found the cell coverage plan were changed. So in order to make a fair comparison, so we choose plus or minus 15 degrees to make sure the cell initial coverage footprint still didn't change.
Yeah, it's not easy to change
Zaid,
the recent
yeah.
plan.
It's your time now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Government gives you the permission
Thank you.
to have the
Very
specific
interesting.
base
I just
station
wanted
with
to know,
specific coverage.
so you've considered the azimuth.
Yes.
Since the cell radius you've considered is 760
Yes,
meters.
this one
So
is based on, because when you calculate, use a geometric calculation, you do it, and then you can find, if we choose less than that, the coverage for this cell will be like 130, less than 100 meters, so it's not very effective. So that means you users move in this small area, it doesn't, sometimes it can't effectively improve the user performance in this small area. So it's better to have a bigger, like the area for users to move around, and it can have the better performance to optimize its users.
okay, I did not finish my question. Sorry.
Oh,
No way.
60 meters. That also means that the antenna is relatively high. So have you, apart from the azimuth, also considered the elevation?
you mean tilt?
Yes.
So,
No,
yes.
we don't.
So is there, or if you haven't, is there? What is your opinion? Do you think it's
Tilt, which we don't do tilt. What's your question is why we don't apply tilt, right?
Yeah, or what, I don't know, I'm not an antenna guy, all I want to know is what would be the impact? Do you think would it be better?
The tilt, which we didn't choose the tilt, is because when you do the tilting, you reduce the coverage of this cell. Then some users in this, some certain users located in the antenna's main radiations, they get better performance, but you reduce the performance for the cells, for the users who are located out.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, that's the problem. That's why we don't do that.
The questions? No? So I have some general comments. So let's say like this. First of all, I mean, you gave a very good presentation. So I agree with Ferran when he says that, you know, when you have this background, it was very useful at the beginning in order to understand a little bit the scenario, but then keep it repeating. I mean, for every slide it was a little bit complicated also to get to get the, I mean, to really read some part of the text. I have to tell you the truth, I was not expecting such a kind of presentation. I was expecting a totally different presentation, so more on the antenna design rather than on the true antenna design.
Yes,
So
the
element, you know, rather than on the network level performance. So I was not expecting this. I had this general feeling, to be honest with you. I tell you the truth in a constructive way.
Mm.
The introduction was very long. To explaining a concept that honestly was, it's extremely simple. So there is a cell, there are some users which are bad, some users which are good. You steer your beam such that you can cover also the good users. Okay, you can do that like this, you know, so it's clear. You don't need 22 slides, something like that, you know, to explain all this. So maybe, and you look at how many questions these people asked you. They really wanted to know, you know, the details. Why 15? Do you have overlap between the sectors? Can you have every sectors working independently?
Because if I add this, it will be very long presentation. So that's.
But if you remove all the introduction,
When
and you
we-
keep on the novelty, so you have to take it easy. You are talking with 25 engineers, so they know that you can you have 3 sectors. You can change one sectors, and then they ask you, okay, you change one sectors, but maybe these sectors will overlap with other 2 sectors, or maybe you will create a shadow region, and you will know that. So you know what I'm saying, or the people who go there and they say, "Look, what about the tilt or something?" I'm telling you in a constructive way because I think it's a very nice work.
Yes.
Also the fact that you took experimental data in a city, usually this really captured the attention. And I guess that is also the reason why they are asking so many questions.
Yes, I know this.
But for example, for me, for a researchers, when you tell me I move it by 15 degrees, and then you want me to believe that this applies always.
Yes, that's why I have the
You know
results, measurement results to show that when we move this.
Yeah, but why you didn't? Yeah, that's why you didn't show. Yeah, you know that's the kind of things that
Because I thought this one, I just want to try to introduce a concept for this technology.
Yeah, no, but I'm not saying that you did it wrong. I'm saying it, no, don't take my comments as negative. I'd say take my comment as improvement, you know. So you need to find a balance between how much time you want to spend to explain things that more or less are clear, and then add some, novelty stuff in the things, because the study was very, was very good. If instead of showing me this, for example, you show us exactly what you do, I think it would have been much more effective. Another thing that I didn't understand, you know what it is? You have all these performance metrics, 1, 2, 3, but you never define them. So there is one slide that you say AFR. There are all these 3, 4, 5 performance measures. Then actually we show at the end. If you look at the very last slide, the very 3, 4 slides. Go with this. For example, here you saw something. Or the previous one. Okay, this is again for voice, for data and so on. But there are different performance measures, that you are showing. AFR, ACR, something like that.
Oh, the
percentage, but you never define them. Yeah, this one. DCR, AFR.
Yes, I didn't mention the figure.
Yeah, but so let me ask a question. How many of you knew what this was? Without defining. 1. How many of you knew this one? 1. But they are guys who are working closely to what you are doing, because the other people who are doing other things like you gave a very good presentation. I'm trying to improve it.
Yes, I know.
So the presentation was good. The experimental data was that you used was very, very good. The point is that if you could focus a little bit more, on your own contribution and try to find a balance between the.
Can I ask something more?
Yeah.
Sorry for that. I don't know. Really, I don't know. If you can go up to the slide with the scenario with the 5 very good users and. Yeah, that's it. Okay. 1 is out of coverage.
Yes.
How we understand that we have to move the antenna and we put this user into the coverage?
Because that is long story. Because we need to scan the users, or we need to scan the antenna azimuth from minus 50 degrees, then 0, then 50 degrees, then we trying to find which azimuth they have more traffic than we see at.
So it's a procedure before moving that scanning there. Okay.
It's a procedure. Okay. Actually, it's a step I showed here. This is a step.
Scanning for a long time. Okay.
So it's kind of because it's quite a long story.
Quite a long story. So as a general question, you would be focusing mainly on this kind of activities, right? Not on the true antenna design.
We will do the antenna design and then trying to. This is the next stage which I will present in 5. So the 5 Friday.
Other questions, comments, suggestions? Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, good. Thanks. Gian.